Imagine spending tens of thousands of dollars rebuilding and improving your truck only to find out that your insurance doesn't cover it if it gets damaged or lost in a fire at the shop. Welcome back to The Trucking Lawyer. I'm attorney Craig Steger, practicing in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa. So today I want to talk a little bit about property loss insurance and specifically fire protection for your equipment, your trucks, dump trucks, trailers, equipment, things like that, because it's something you may not often think about. Typically, if you're an owner operator or you're a truck driver, you may only think about insurance from the standpoint of what do you need while you're out on the road? What protects you and your company if you or one of your drivers causes a crash? Or what type of insurance is there to have your truck fixed if it gets damaged in a crash, or maybe even protect you or your drivers if they get injured, whether it's auto and coverage or workers' comp, things like that. But what about when your truck isn't on the road? What happens then? I think a lot of times people don't think about that, and maybe even your insurance agent doesn't think about that. But let me tell you a story. So I was recently contacted by a local trucking company, small trucking company, and their story kind of broke my heart. So they had one of their semis and they wanted to put a bunch of money into the truck. So I think they rebuilt the engine and maybe the transmission, and did a bunch of work to the sleeper and all that, and put, I don't know what they put, 30, 40, $50,000 into this truck. And because the truck was going to be out of service for a while, they kind of lower the insurance coverage on it, which didn't really actually make a big difference to them. But they took the insurance down while the truck was being repaired and being serviced. And then once they had done the work, so they actually did a lot of the mechanical work on the truck themselves, but then they sent it to a shop to have it painted, have the and maybe some of the, let's say, interior done on the sleeper. But they sent it to a shop to have it done. It was almost ready to go back on the road. And one night there was a fire in the shop. This trucking repair shop, this painting shop, burnt to the ground, and the truck that they had there was lost, was destroyed. Now, fortunately, they had some insurance on their truck, but they hadn't increased the value on it to account for all the new improvements they had made to the truck. So the amount that they got out of their own insurance was about half of the actual value of the truck that it had after all these repairs and improvements. The plan had been to increase the insurance coverage once it was ready to go back on the road. So they then went seeking coverage, and there was other trucks and customers in the shop at the time, as well as the shop itself lost a bunch of stuff. And so then everyone started looking at the insurance company or the shop where the work was being done, and the insurance company is in the process of denying coverage based on, I think, allegations of misrepresentations on the part of the company, the truck shop, maybe not being fully accurate about the nature of the business there or something like that. So the insurance company for the truck shop is trying to deny coverage on those grounds when there's litigation pending. And so I was being contacted about possibly getting involved for this couple, this family who lost their truck in the fire. That's something that can happen. Now, these are kind of rare events, but they can happen. And when you're talking about, something that's worth tens of thousands of dollars, perhaps hundreds of thousands of dollars, it's something you might want to think about. Run past your insurance agent, see if there is coverage, or you may want to consider upping the property coverage on it if you've done a bunch of work and the truck is going to be outside your control for a while. Something you might want to think about and talk to your insurance agent about, so that if you can avoid something like this, you have some additional protection. Some of the other things that you might want to do is, first of all, ask the shop owner, are you insured, and ask for copies of their insurance policy, or at least the declarations page. Find out what kind of coverage they have. Do they have like garage keepers insurance? Does it apply to customers' equipment or just their own property? You want to find that out. Find out if their insurance coverage extends to your vehicle, and what kind of coverage might it be. Is it replacement value? Is it fair market value? Is it something else? Are there deductibles? Things like that. Those are things that you probably want to ask this company especially if it's a new company that you haven't worked with, and get that information and request it. And if they're reluctant to provide that to you, take that into consideration, and maybe you need to go somewhere else, go to a place that has proof of insurance and is there covered when your truck is outside your control, it's in someone else's hands. Those are kinds of questions that you want to be asking. Certainly, I would think before you send your truck to a shop or something like that, take good pictures and video inside and out, keep receipts, things like that. But you definitely want to be thinking about that. And the best way to protect yourself in that instance is to talk to your own insurance agent and find out what you can do for protection of your own truck and possibly getting adequate coverage while the truck is off the road, but is outside your control and potentially at risk of being damaged or destroyed in the event of fire or just mishaps that can happen. So something you might want to think about. And this is why it's, I think for let's say truck owners, owner operators, small trucking companies, it's really important to have an insurance agent that you know and trust and you're in regular communication with. And what I always tell people is this: regardless of the type of insurance you're dealing with, the type of insurance agent, really, really important to ask questions, to communicate those questions and if possible in writing, whether by email or letter, or maybe you're going to have a meeting with your insurance agent. Write your questions out, prepare a memo or a letter, bring that with you, give them a copy, keep a copy for yourself. Maybe you record the conversation if they're okay with it or if it's legal for you in the state that you're in to do that, so that if there's ever a question later on about what kind of coverage you asked for or what kind of information you provided your insurance agent, you have that to back you up, and it's not simply a he said versus she said situation. You have actual documented evidence of what you asked for, what you were promised or what you were told or what you weren't told. That's why it's really, really important to have an insurance agent that you trust, that you can communicate with, that receives emails or whatever, responds to you in emails, things like that. That can be really, really important for your own, both so that you understand what you have, what you're paying for, what kind of additional coverages might be available. But then in the event that you get into a situation where there's a dispute about whether you have the insurance coverage you need, you have these to fall back on. So that's just a really, really good policy for anyone. If you're in any kind of business or commercial space at all, whether you're a farmer, trucker, anything like that, these are just really good things to do because you're paying a lot of money for insurance and you're relying upon someone else to tell you what you need to know about it, about the insurance coverage, about your needs, what's available, how much it's going to cost. And if it's in writing, it's much, much easier for you to plead your case later on if the insurance agent didn't do their job or gave you faulty information. So I want to encourage people to really be proactive when it comes to your insurance and to be thinking about these things ahead of time so that you don't find yourself in the unfortunate situation that these folks did. So I hope that's helpful. If you have questions or comments about that, leave them in the comments or send me a message. If you have a particular legal matter that you need some help with, don't leave a comment. Just go to the description, either give me a call or send me an email. I'll be happy to try to help you if I can. And if I can't, maybe point you in the direction of someone that can. So I hope this is helpful. And if you have any questions or concerns in the meantime, let me know. Otherwise, thanks for watching. And until next time, everyone, have a good one.